There is no gain in saying our world will be incomplete without the sun. It's our biggest source of light and the one astrophysical element that facilitates food production through the dynamic process of photosynthesis. But what if it suddenly disappeared? Would our Earth still remain the same? Join us as we explain what the scenario would look like if the sun went out. Imagine you waking up one faithful morning and for some reason the sun refuses to rise. Sounds impossible, right? Well, it's not. And if it were to happen today, it wouldn't be the first time. As a matter of fact, it happened temporarily in 1816, which is popularly known as the Year Without a Summer. It all began in April 1815 when Mount Tambora erupted in Indonesia and ejected around 9.8 cubic metres or 10 billion tonnes of pyroclastic ash into the atmosphere. This phenomenal occurrence also released gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and hydrogen chloride into the atmosphere. Consequently, this triggered many climate irregularities for a few years. The world witnessed reduced sunlight and a summerless year around the Northern Hemisphere. People in New England witnessed large snowfalls in June, and so many lakes across Pennsylvania, Salem and Massachusetts were completely iced over for the whole year, as average temperatures fell significantly. This unfavourable condition caused some severe disruptions to the normal farming process, which prompted a chain reaction that led to famine epidemic. It's safe to say most people thought the world was about to come to an end, but thankfully normalcy was restored before things got out of hand. If the sun should disappear for good this time, the effect would be devastating, if not worse. On average, the sun produces a stupendous amount of energy that's equivalent to the same amount of energy produced by 100 billion hydrogen bombs every second. With all that energy lost, humanity will be catapulted back to the Ice Age. The already cold Arctic region will become even colder, and strong dynamic winds will blow towards the equator as it sweeps across the globe. As the winds become colder, jet streams will be disrupted, causing strong currents at ground level. Consequently, water vapour in the Earth's atmosphere would condense, and many arid areas across the world, like the Sahara Desert, might experience snow. So, on the one hand, we could say the disappearance of the sun isn't entirely bad. However, the advantages of a sunless world, if they exist at all, would be nothing compared to the level of disruption we'll experience. Since the inception of time, the Sun and the Earth have shared a very close relationship, despite the fact that the amazing star is about 333,000 times the mass of our planet. This enormous mass makes the Sun a dominant figure in our solar system, especially in terms of gravity. Critically, the Sun's gravitational force is responsible for keeping all 8 planets in the outer solar system in their elliptical orbits. In addition, it controls the orbits of comets and other celestial objects. Initially, before Albert Einstein explained the concept, scientists believed that gravity acted instantly. If that were the case, our Sun and all the other planets would go flying the second the Sun disappeared. But of course, we know that is not the case, because according to Einstein, gravity is not instantaneous. Instead, it is believed to travel at the same speed as light. And speaking about light, sunlight takes an average of 8 minutes to travel to the Earth, meaning if the sun were to disappear today, we would be unaware for at least 8 minutes. What would follow next would be a scary period of absolute darkness. Admittedly, the stars would still shine, and every other power generation medium that does not depend on sunlight would still work. But there's no denying that our world would not be the same because, in reality, nothing can prepare us for losing our biggest source of natural light. To start with, all areas that depend on solar power for electricity will experience a complete blackout that could last for months or even years. Also, without this big ball of fusion called the sun, photosynthesis cannot happen, meaning our farming activities would be disrupted as they were in 1816. Worst of all, most of the existing plants would become lifeless within a few weeks. Some aged trees could potentially survive for a couple of decades, but they too will become dead eventually as the effects of a sunless world hit harder. Most likely, a state of emergency will be declared across the globe as scientists look for alternative lighting technologies that could potentially replace the sun. By the end of the first week, the global average temperature would be around 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Whilst this is going on, the ocean would be experiencing adverse changes as well. At first, it will become extremely cold before eventually reaching the freezing point. However, humans and other geothermal organisms could possibly survive living in the deepest and warmest parts of the ocean. Naturally, some organisms are able to live at the depths of the ocean despite the intense pressures that exist there. But for humans, we'd need some form of shield, like a submarine or other deep ocean exploration vehicles. Iceland might become the safest country to live in the event that the sun disappears. Currently, geothermal energy is used to heat 87% of all the homes in the island nation, and this unpopular technology could be pivotal to our survival if the sun ever disappears. Expectedly, the media will be awash with countless stories of how the world is about to come to an end. In no time, chaos will most likely break out in several regions across the world as residents seek clarity and assurances from the government. But unfortunately, the government will be helpless as well. At most, the global authorities may be forced to implement a sit-at-home order, but that's definitely not sustainable in the long run. Based on the complexities that are due to arise, violence and chaos are also a huge possibility. And as we've learned from past experiences, this could lead to the implementation of martial law. We hope that's not the case, but with all the panic and misinformation that will be going on, it won't be out of place to expect a nuclear war between two or more countries as well. If this were to happen, it would be worse than the disappearance of the sun itself. As a matter of fact, it would only worsen our situation and hasten doomsday because without the sun's gravitational force, our Earth would embark on a dangerous journey towards distant stars, drifting across the icy, lifeless region of space at a speed of around 67,000 miles per hour. Roaming across the great abyss of space at this pace offers quite a number of possibilities. Perhaps the worst-case scenario is that we could run into another planetary body and everything on Earth, living or dead, would be destroyed within seconds of the collision. Alternatively, our planet could possibly get caught in the gravitational pull of another star in space and begin to orbit around it. This could turn out to be a positive coincidence, though, because if the conditions are right, this new proposed star might successfully replace the Sun. But if not, Earth would continue its untamed adventure in space until it rams into another celestial object or exits our solar system altogether. However, for living organisms like humans, we may not live long enough to witness it. This is because the sun's incredible heat keeps our Earth at the right temperature, which in itself is a necessary catalyst for life. So technically, we could say the sun is paramount to the existence of life on Earth. And critically, a sunless Earth might just as well be an inhabitable place. Considering this and all the other factors and possibilities that could arise, our best chance of staying alive is in interplanetary space exploration, and that's where our efforts come in. Over the years, scientists have explored the option of building a human civilization outside of Earth. We've landed on the Moon and sent probes to several planets and exoplanets in space. And we can only hope that if our sun ever goes out, one of these planetary bodies will at least be ready to harbour us.